Hi, my name is Leanne Chattey. I'm a Trager Practitioner at Santa Fe Soul Health and Healing Center. And so you might ask, so what is a Trager Practitioner? What does a Trager Practitioner do? And I might just start off with telling you historically a little bit about the approach. It was developed by a medical doctor, Dr. Milton Trager, the late Dr. Trager, and he actually was developing this approach to health and well-being back in the 1920s. And he started because of his own congenital low back condition. That was the beginning for him of what could he do to help himself. And so he developed a series of movements and practices that he did. And later, as a medical doctor, he felt he just wasn't helping people. So he took what he'd been doing on himself, on his father, on his brother, to patients. And patients were ecstatic. I mean, one of his very first persons walked out just feeling so great after having low back pain for many, many years. So that was the beginning of the Trager Approach, which was used pretty exclusively in Dr. Trager's medical practice. And then from there, he was asked to be a speaker, and he was urged to make an institute or a training track for people to learn this. And he kept saying, but I'm not a teacher. You know, I have a medical practice. I'm not a teacher. Well, one very strong-minded woman who is a psychotherapist said, put your hands on mine so that I can learn this and help you form an institute. So that was the beginnings. I think the first formal classes were the late 1970s in the Trager Approach. So now you have a glimpse of the history of the Trager Approach. And so let's go back to the question, so what is the Trager Approach? The Trager Approach is essentially rediscovering wholeness through movement and sensation. So let's take a look at that, rediscovering. To me, in a Trager session, that means that the Trager client actually finds that quiet space and quiet time where they can really tune into themselves and listen to their own body, mind, spirit. And what about the wholeness part? To me, it essentially means that you tune in again to that perfection that we really are, and to all those parts of you that just feel really right and comfortable. So this is a touch therapy where my hands, actually it's through my hands that I'm really listening. I'm listening to your body, to your whole being. I've actually been doing the healing arts work now for over 21 years. And the late Milton Trager was my teacher, so I was most fortunate to have that experience. So with my informed hands, I just really like to be fully present with each client. So the Trager Approach is pleasurable, it's gentle, and it's nurturing. And people tend to find that it really has a deep and long-lasting quality. For Trager, and we're speaking of Dr. Trager here, physical pain and dysfunction begin in the mind. It is in the mind, through the nervous and neurochemical communicating systems of the body, that maintain muscles in a chronically contracted and inflamed position. And Dr. Trager himself said, tight muscles could be caused by many things, but the pattern of tightness is all in the mind. Trager further explained, this work will release blockages at the source so that the client can experience long-lasting relief of physical symptoms. It's through informed hands and intuitive awareness that the practitioner communicates with the unconscious aspect of the client to re-educate the nervous system in more relaxed and less painful patterns. So the term psychophysical integration is a really clear description of what the Trager approach essentially is. And in fact, I do bill for insurance for those who have insurance that covers a session under a particular insurance code which describes psychophysical integration. And it truly is, a session is a balancing. People come out feeling deeply relaxed. In fact, I'm often told this approach goes beyond relaxation to a sense of deep peacefulness. There's a companion program for the Trager approach that I use quite often in my sessions, and it's the educational aspect. What we do as practitioners is teach you self-care movements that you can use at home, at the office, wherever you wish, to help remind you and reconnect you with your session and really help the healing process along. So you may be asking, what kind of conditions are eased or managed with the Trager approach? And I do see a lot of people coming to me with pain in the neck and the back. That's a very common complaint. And I think people often go away with the self-care movements and with sometimes a series of sessions feeling so much more comfortable in their body. Another area where people come and definitely feel quite a transformation from this approach is those who might come with profound depression. Another group of people that I tend to see are those that might be going through transition of some kind in their life. Maybe it's menopause, maybe it's loss of a job, loss of a relationship, maybe it's even making transition as people are dying, because I've done quite a bit of hospice work as well. So it's very, very useful for many conditions. It's also a wonderful adjunct for those who are into a process of looking at self-growth, and also for artists and athletes. Many musicians who hold positions for long periods of time have really been helped through the self-care aspect of the work. And I sure enjoy working with athletes that like to really feel like they're in peak condition. And they go into athletics in a much more relaxed, peaceful way. So Milton Trager says, many times after a real good session with a patient, I get so moved by their face that I must take them by the hand, take them to a mirror, and say, I want you to meet this person. Sometimes they say, I haven't seen her in 25 years. What I feel is that this is actually the soul of the individual uncovered. And here is just a recent testimonial that came, and I particularly tend to be seeing people that are going through transition of one nature or the other, as is this woman, as she says, since my Trager session, I've had the sweetest, kindest sleep since beginning menopause. I might share this one from a man who I treated who lives in Chicago. And he said, your hands feel like they have mittens on, large, puffy, and comforting. So the Trager session is for all people of all ages. And I thought I might familiarize you with the website, which is trager-us.org. So I am Leanne, and I invite you to come and try the Trager approach. It's a wonderful, wonderful journey to health and healing.